Hello, everyone, and welcome to day one of my virtual book tour for The Reckoning. So if you guys don't already know, my name is Kayla Knu. I'm an author, YouTuber, gamer, and aerialist. And my debut adult dark fantasy novel, The Reckoning, is coming out on April 14th, 2021. YouTuber, gamer, and aerialist. Oh, let me mute myself real quick. Mute. There we go. Anyway, but yeah, so it's coming out on April 14th, which is also my 30th birthday. So yeah, that is what's happening. And so today we're going to do a little bit of a Q&A. I have some questions to answer about my book. I'm probably going to do a little bit of a sneak peek / reveal for the character art that I had created for my book, as well as showing off some other goodies and swag that we got going here. So I'm going to check the comments. Hello, Kitty. Thank you for joining me. And yeah, I know. Sometimes I forget to just mute myself on the YouTubes because I gotta watch StreamYard and YouTube when I stream to make sure that nothing weird is happening. And I forget to mute the site sometimes. Anyway, so where to start? I'm so excited. So I want to start off by showing the book that I got. I got ARC copies, so it does have the ugly, I don't think it's ugly actually. It's the little banner from Amazon that whenever you order books before the book's released, they put this, not for resale tag on it. And I think that just makes it look like it's an ARC copy because you know that it's not for resale. It's not the final version of the book. And it's not. There are some typos in there. I know there are because I had it proofread after having these made. So, yeah. Anyway, I will start off by just reading the blurb for you guys if you haven't heard it already. I got my little tagline here. It's "May the strongest survive." The magical lands of Altera have been stricken with famine since the destruction of light magic. Rebellion threatens to rise, but the Reckoning, an age-old tradition where potential warriors compete in deadly challenges, could provide distraction. To be called is an honor, but glory is reserved for the champion. So when Malachi Darkblood, a prince with demonic heritage, is called, he is expected to win. But his fate is intertwined with that of a girl, and he finds more than his reputation is at stake. Harrison Darkborn, a highborn Asud, is more than honored to be called. His loyalty to the king knows no bounds, but when his wedding to the princess is postponed, he soon discovers that there are challenges far greater than the Reckoning. Tyler Skye, a human farmer, clings to her faith in love and kindness, even as her family's herd thins. Though her hope is strong, her life is turned upside down when she is called. Without any magic of her own, her odds of survival are low, but her kindness may prove to be her savior. Facing the unknown challenges ahead of them, one thing holds true: their fates are intertwined. So yeah, guys, that is the blurb for The Reckoning, and it's coming out so soon. It's less than a month out that bad boy is coming out, and right now, currently, it is up for pre-order, so you can pre-order the ebooks right now. I am working on getting physical copy pre-orders, but I needed to wait until I had the final version before I could get those pre-orders going because it cost money to upload to Ingram Sparks, and I didn't want to waste money by uploading and then having to re-upload after the final proofread. And welcome, Blue. Thanks for joining us. I'm excited to have you guys here. I'm just excited in general today. It is St. Patty's Day. Happy St. Patty's Day. I wore my green bow for everyone because you gotta wear green. I got some green in the background here too. If you guys don't know, I actually use these bulletin boards to outline my books. And you see that this one is empty there because I took off everything from when I plotted The Reckoning, and it is clean and ready to go. For the next book that is being outlined on that board, which is a little bit of exciting news. Since you guys are here, I have a 4-year plan for this series. So The Reckoning is the first book in a series, and I have about 7 books planned for this series, and all 7 of them are in the works and expected to be published. I believe the last one is coming out in the end of 2014 / beginning of 2015, as long as all things go according to schedule, which they usually do because I like to plan ahead. But yeah, so my plan is to get this whole series finished within the next few years. So if you're that person who wants to wait till a series is completed to read it, it's going to be finished in a relatively short period of time. But yeah, also, guys in the chat, if you have any questions that you would like me to answer, feel free to drop them in. I am just going to go ahead and start with some of the questions and book launch tags that I have gathered. So yeah, I'm just going to pull that up right quick. So I'm going to do, I found this little book launch tag. I don't have it linked anywhere just because I just kind of pulled it up. It's pretty generic. It's got a couple questions. First one being, what's the name of your book? Which I've already said it like a million times. It's The Reckoning. It's book 1 in the Intertwined series. The next question on there was, what genre is your book? It is an adult dark fantasy. It also has heavy like LGBTQ plus romance in there. There are a lot of dark themes and topics. And actually, speaking to that, I think I might pull up my Goodreads review that one of my friends posted. Maybe I'll do that next stream, which is in like 2 weeks from now. But yeah, so it is kind of like the Hunger Games, but with magic and all that LGBTQ plus goodness, because that's where I live. Number 3 question on this little list of 7 is, what is the inspiration behind your book? I've definitely mentioned this before in previous streams and maybe even in previous YouTube videos. The inspiration for my book actually came from a dream that I had back in like 2013. So that was like 7 years ago, almost 8 years ago, that I like came up with this basic idea. And like, to be fair, I didn't really start getting into writing the book until like 2016, and even then I didn't like start taking it seriously probably until 2018. But yeah, so I've been writing this first book for for a few years now, and it went through quite a few versions before it got to where it is today. But yeah, so my dreams inspire me, and that's where my inspiration comes from. Number 4, what was your favorite part about writing your book? Oh man, I feel like when it comes to my writing process, my favorite part literally is just the writing part. I like being able to sit down and like lose myself in the world and in the characters. So I don't know, I think my favorite part is probably the character building and the world building, just because like I'm a big like Pathfinder D&D kind of person, so like I like building characters and worlds and exploring magic and religions. So yeah, that was probably my favorite part about writing this, was developing the world and the magic symbols, which are on the book. You guys got to see a little bit of that, but yeah, I love my magic symbols. I created them. Well, I drew them and then I had an artist like actually digitally draw them because, yeah, it's better that way. Let's see, what else we got? If you could know one thing before you started writing this book, what would it be? I think the one thing that I wish I could have known, or I wish I had known earlier, is that um, you just gotta write. Like, just do it. Just sit down and write, because like, if you wait for inspiration to strike, like you're losing a lot of time. And like the whole thing about writing is like the more you write, the better you get. And like that first draft that you write, it's not your final draft. You're gonna write it and maybe rewrite it and then edit it, and it's gonna go from like this crappy like cluster of words and get turned into a book, into a novel. So like I wish that I had understood like what it took to just write um before I started this. Like I wish I had fully understood the whole fact of like just write it. It doesn't have to be perfect. Like just write. Because that is really like the time sink was that it took me so long just to finish a first draft. And like some of that is because I was pantsing and not outlining, and some of that was this was my first book. So like I hadn't quite figured out my writing process yet. Um, but yeah, like just write it, like just do it. Like that's where you start, if you want to write and be a writer and write books. Okay, soapbox done. Um, and question number 6, which I actually already answered, is when is your book being released? April 14th, which is my 30th birthday. So that's going to be really exciting. And I am doing a book launch party on that day, even though it's my birthday. So that's going to be fun to celebrate with you guys. And I'm excited about it. But yeah, so that was just some generic little book launch tag questions. I do have some more questions ready to go to be answered, but I do kind of want to like, I don't know, maybe do like some sneak peekage. So I know I've shown these before, guys, but I'm just gonna like tell you guys my plans. Like I got some plans going. I have these beautiful bookmarks for The Reckoning. You see them, they're beautiful. I have so many of them. And I just sent my final edits, final adjustments to my formatter, which means I am right now just waiting on getting that final document back with my final formatting. And then I can do my physical copy pre-orders. And what I'm going to do, and I don't have any links for it yet, but come back in 2 weeks and I will have all of that stuff in the video on book tour day 2, which is 2 weeks from today. I think I'm going to be giving away free bookmarks to anyone who pre-orders a physical copy of the book. So yeah, if you're interested in that, that is a reason to pre-order, and that will be coming out soon. So like, if you want to stay tuned for when this happens, my newsletter is linked below, so you can subscribe to that. And as soon as I get that pre-order set up, I will be sending out an email to all my subscribers so that they know that it is live. But that is coming, and that is coming soon. Gosh, I am just so excited. I can't even right now, guys. Like, less than a month away. Like, this has been like it's amazing, and my friend did it. And yeah, I'm excited for it. You guys are gonna love it. But yeah, so back to my list of a million questions. We have, how many books have you written, and which is your favorite? Well, I have definitely written a couple books. They're not published yet, obviously, because book 1's coming out now. I have written book 2 and partials for book 3 and 4, as well as things that are completely unrelated in some other projects. So I have like, I've written like 3 or 4 books, and it's so hard to pick favorites because like I feel like it's less of me having a favorite book and more of like a favorite like character or maybe perspective to write from. And honestly, I love writing from Malachi or Kai's perspective, because he's so like angsty and grumpy and like emotional turmoil that like it's just I love writing his perspective. Um, and so yeah, that's my favorite. My favorite is writing his perspective. Um, Ooh, okay. Here's another. This is a good question. I like this question. What part of the book did you have the hardest time writing? And I'm not gonna say like a specific like this scene of this book, but this is gonna be a little bit more generalized. And the hardest thing that like the thing that I have the hardest time writing is fight scenes. Like I don't know why this is, but I'm just like obviously I have epic fight scenes and some battles and stuff in my fantasy book, but I just like I like to procrastinate that. Like I'm pretty sure in some of my early drafts I just like put in brackets and was like fight scene. um because the fight scenes are just the hardest for me. I don't know why. Like it's just they're so hard for me. Like writing fight scenes, like I don't know. Like give me all the emotional drama and like romance and randomness. Like I can write all that. That's great. Bringing in the fight scenes, I'm like, yeah, I need them, and like they turn out great, but like going in, it's just rough. Going in is rough on those. Um, okay, so then, um, this might say a lot about my character. The next question is, what part of the book was the most fun to write? Oh, how to say this without getting spoilery? Um, we'll just say like the graphic sex scenes. Those were the most fun to write, which I think says a lot about my character. But I don't know. I enjoy like there's like playfulness in there and like there's the emotional aspect that I tie in of like how the character is feeling while like things like are going down and like I just I love it. I love writing that part of the romance. I love the romance in general. Like I love writing about feelings. Which might be weird, but I just enjoy writing about feelings. And yeah, people have a lot of feelings when they're doing things. So yeah. And okay. Ooh, this is an interesting question. I did not like pre-make answers to any of these questions, which maybe I should have, but you know, live on the edge sometimes. Um, which of the characters do you relate to the most and why? I'm gonna take a tiny pause in case you heard that to show off the cat that just jumped on me. This is Charlie. He's my little baby. He looks grumpy, but he actually really loves this. Like, he's purring. He's like, yes, give me all the love. I love the love. Um, but yeah. Anyway, back to what we were talking about. Which character do I relate to the most? I have this interesting perspective where I feel like um, all of the characters are a part of me, but at the same time, like none of the characters are me. So it's like each character like has like a piece of me in them, I feel like, or a piece of like my past experience in them, which like obviously allows me to relate to them. But like I can't say that any of them are more similar to me than like others because like I could probably say who's like the least similar to me, which is interesting. But Tyler, I feel like is the least similar to me. Because she's very like openly like kind and loving and like just has that like more bubbly-ish personality, and I'm not like a very bubbly person. But I guess she's not exactly like super extroverted, so even then it's like, you know, back when I was a child and carefree, I might have had similarities to Tyler back then. But you know, not today. Not today. Um, yeah. Ooh, if you're planning a sequel, can you share a tiny bit about your plans for it? I did this a little bit. So right now, I am actually in the middle of rewriting books 2 and 3 and 4. So I wrote the first draft of book 2 last year, and it was 60,000-ish words. So I'm rewriting it now, and I'm also rewriting or writing books 3 and 4, which originally books 3 and 4 were one book, and I had this epiphany recently that they needed to be separate books. So if you guys don't know, The Reckoning is written from 3 points of view. So there are 3 main characters, and there are 3 different perspectives. And so The Reckoning alternates between character perspectives. And book 2 is going to be entirely in Tyler's perspective. Book 3 will be entirely in Malachi's perspective, and book 4 will be entirely in Harrison's perspective, because it's kind of like they're all together in the Reckoning, and then they're all kind of separate for the next 3 books, and those 3 books are actually like companion novels, so they are happening at the same time. So there is some overlap where you will see those characters in the books, but each character is having a completely separate journey, and then it all ties in together in the other books in the series that come later. So book 2 is very much a self-discovery, world adventuring style. It's probably got more of that traditional fantasy where you're going around and exploring a world and on a journey to do a thing. So that's kind of how it is. That's kind of what that next book in the series is going to be like. And you're going to see a lot more magic. You're going to see a lot more of the different fantasy races that I created, because The Reckoning just like barely touches on a lot of that stuff, and there's so much more to explore, and so I am excited to be doing all of that exploring in the next few books. So those are the plans. I'm writing 3 books this year, and they will be getting edited towards the end of the year. I actually have some of them scheduled for the editor already, so I am on a deadline, guys. I have a 4-year plan for this whole series, and it's happening. But yeah. So, next question. What is a significant way your book has changed since the first draft? Whew, buddy. So, as I previously mentioned, this first book went through 3 different versions before it got to this version. So the version that it is now, I consider to be the 3rd version of the book, and it's like, I don't know how many drafts it took to get to where it is now, but it is the 3rd version. So this is kind of fun and interesting. The book was based off of my 2 main characters and their kind of like epic relationship, love interest thing, and I knew it was going to be fantasy and magical, and I went through 3 different settings. So originally, I was going to make this story more of like a happening at a magic college sort of thing, where it was more probably like leaning more romancy, where it's like they meet at magic college and go through all these things. So it's supposed to be like a new adult type of thing. And I was writing it, and I don't know, something wasn't clicking, and I didn't like it. And then I was like, okay, let me change the setting. And so I changed the setting to basically it was almost like a magic boot camp, where like all these people are going to this campground out in like the middle of wherever and doing these magic trials and tribulations and whatever in the woods. And I liked that, and there were some fun scenes that came out of that and some interesting character perspectives. But again, I kind of hit that like brick wall where it just felt like something wasn't right, something was missing. And that's kind of where we get into the third version of this book, where I really stabbed it into that dark fantasy realm. Because I love dystopian worlds, and I basically took it, and it's similar to the whole like camp theme, but it's in the woods, and it definitely became what was a fun learning magic type thing became a deadly, the world is starving, people are starving, people are rioting, and we're having the reckoning, and it is very much a survivalist style games. Like it's very Hunger Game-esque in the sense of like dystopian world, and people are called non-voluntarily. It's not they don't volunteer. They are selected via magic and are made to compete in this challenge. Now, they're not, their goal is not to kill each other. So it's not like straight up like the Hunger Games. But it is very much a, can you survive in the wilderness and pass these challenges in order to prove your worthiness as a magical warrior in order to gain, power and stature and the king's favor. The whole honor and glory aspect of that. And so, yeah, that is that is the final version. That is like the final like setting. And obviously it's in its own world, the world of Altera. It is a magical place. Altera is the main continent of this magical place. There are other parts of the world that aren't discussed in the first book, but they exist. And yeah, I got like maps and stuff on my walls, guys. Like it's crazy over here. But yeah, so that's kind of how it changed from that first draft. Like it went through 3 versions, and then like I tried plotting it, and I just suffered. I had such a hard time plotting at first, guys, but I figured it out. It happened. All right. Check the chat. Next question we have. What perspectives or beliefs have you challenged with this work? So loaded. I feel like The Reckoning really touches on a lot of dark themes and a lot of what's the word for it? The dark side of humanity. So it definitely throws a little bit of male victims into the mix. So it definitely is scratching at that male victim perspective and seeing the damages done from abuse and things like that. And I feel like that's a bit different. I don't know how often that's something that is really brought up, but for me, I wanted to show it. I wanted to show, the effects of abuse, and, obviously that mostly happens to women, but it happens to men too, and it's in there. So I guess I'm challenging that belief that men can't be victims, because they can. We all can. Yeah, I feel like that got real dark real fast, which, dark fantasy, so I guess it's okay. Yeah. And, okay. How would you describe your book's ideal reader? Well, anybody who loved the Hunger Games but wanted it to be magical. Probably an ideal reader. Anyone who loves LGBTQ plus romance. dark romance, LGBTQ plus dark romance, just because it is a dark book. So it's going to be anyone who loves things that are dark, that are showing, you know, the dark desires, the dark side of whatever. There are some sexually explicit scenes in there, so if you don't like reading about sex, it's not like hardcore erotica or anything like that, but like there are several sex scenes that happen in there, and violence. So you know, if that's your jam, you are an ideal reader. Ooh, interesting question. Okay. How much research did you need to do for your book? Minimal. Minimal research. So most of my research that I did for my book was for naming things. I did a lot of research for naming things. I did some research on city cultures and different types of city setups, you know, like trade cities versus like I can't even think of the word of it, but I did a lot of like city type researches where like how a city would function around having a specific like export or import or trading or whatever. And that was mostly for world building, but a lot of my stuff is, you know, it's fantasy. So a lot of it I just like created myself. I did some research on like what kings would wear because I was like, I don't know how to like describe some of these clothing articles of clothing. I was like, what do they call those things, you know? So I did a lot of research for like that kind of stuff, but nothing like super crazy, I don't think, in regards to researching stuff. Oh, here we go. Good question. How important was professional editing to your book's development? I guess like important is a relative term in that sense. So like, was it important to have that developmental editing to get the book to where it is? Maybe. I definitely did a lot of my own editing and stuff before sending it to a developmental editor. And I did change a few things around. So I would say it was definitely important. I think editing is extremely important in general for making sure that you have a quality product, because the more eyes you can have on something, the better, because, you know, nobody's perfect and we miss things, and like it's hard to know how someone's going to take something. So it is important to have editing. And welcome, lost customer. We are happy to have you here. Excited. I am currently just going through like some questions about the book and the reckoning and writing stuff in general. But yeah, so I guess I could like pull my name back up so people know who I am. There it is. All right, so I think now is probably a good time to do my character art reveal, since we are kind of like, I'm not sure how long I'll go today, at least an hour, so this would be like the midway point if I just do an hour. So what I am going to do is pull up my shared screen. And so we're gonna do character reveal, and it's just gonna be there. And I hope you guys like these. My artist friend did them, and she is amazing. I don't know if I'm supposed to share her name, but it was CS Designs. And let me pull it up. Boom. All right, so first one we have, probably my absolute favorite, is Daniel Darkson. He is not one of the perspectives that I write from, but he is probably one of my favorite characters, and he is a Talak. And so basically he's very like brutal violence, like he's part of a warrior race, like, but he's also just like got this sense of humor that's just like ridiculous. And yeah, I love the way that he is drawn here. I love all of it. If you guys don't know, that blood paint over his eye is actually the magic symbol for earth magic, because he is an earth magic user, and I love it. I love everything about it. He's got a dark magic symbol included in his hair too. It's the little crescent moon. Which I guess I probably could have gone through my magic symbols and explained them, but maybe we'll save that for next time. We'll do that on the next live stream for the book launch tour. But yeah, so this is Daniel. I love him. Love him. I don't even know, like, maybe I should just like come up with like character profiles and explain them. But yeah, so that's him. And our next one is Harrison Darkborn. So this is my cinnamon roll character, and he is like so innocent and naive at the beginning of the book, and he has a very big change. He has a very big change arc that I'm not going to spoil, but he is just like very like innocent and positive and just like happy, and like he's so trusting of everyone because he just doesn't know any better. And yeah, so he also has love interest. He is best friends with Daniel, and some love interesty things happen there. So yeah, love it, and it's exciting. But yeah, and he's an Asud, which is why he has extremely long pointed ears. Not all Asuds have extremely long pointed ears, but he does. And let's see, he can use dark magic and fire magic. Don't quote me on this, guys. There's a lot of things that I have to write down, but I believe he can use dark magic and fire magic. And next one, oh, and he is one of the perspectives that I write from, so you will get to see and hear his voice via my writing in the book. And the next one is Malachi Darkblood. So he is the Darkblood Prince. He goes by Kai. He is very much the grumpy, angsty, like comes across as like a very cold person because he has basically been trained to present as a person who doesn't feel anything. And he is a Deirdre, which is basically means that he has a demonic heritage, and his demonic heritage plays a huge role in like his development and his magical abilities. And so he is a dark magic user and a fire magic user, and he has his deepest connection is with dark magic. And yeah, he has a love interest, and she is the last character that I have to show. But yeah, he has that wonderful contrast between him and his love interest, and it's amazing. And I'm going to go ahead and show her. Boom, Tyler Sky. My third and final perspective that I write from is Tyler's, and she is just this sweet, caring, loving farmer who, you know, throughout the book, she is who she is, and she doesn't change. So she changes the people around her by being herself, and I love that about her. And I love how like her dynamic with our main character just like inspires him to be a better person, I guess, in a way, or to be more accepting of himself. But yeah. So that is my fourth and final character art image that I have. Again, I love these. They are wonderful. I hope you guys like them because I like them and they're great. And yeah, love them. So much. So yeah, those are those. And you guys were the first ones to see them by showing up here today or watching this video if you watch it on the replay. So yeah, that are those. And again, if you guys have any questions that you are dying to have me answer, feel free to drop them in the comments. Otherwise, I'm going to keep answering questions that I already kind of had pre-prepared on a piece of paper that I have. All right. Let's see. What do we got here, question-wise? Ooh. I feel like, what characters in your book are most similar to you or to people you know? I feel like all my characters like have a piece of me, so they're all somehow similar to me in that sense because everyone's got different like pieces of them. Um, I don't think any of them are specifically similar to people I know. That being said, you know, you write based off your experiences, so like there is a good chance that like some of these characters have similarities to people that I've known. If just because of me having experiences with them affected my perspective in the sense of developing a human person or, you know, magical person or whatever. There are some things that happen in the book that are relatable to my own personal experiences. Um, so yeah, I could make those connections, but I won't for the sake of not doing that. Anyway, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like as writers, we all are always, you know, drawing inspiration from experiences and people that we've met and people that we know, and just, you know, that's kind of how it is. You write what you know, and what you know is what you've experienced, and yeah. I mean, you can make stuff up too, right? Fantasy is not something that you know, but human relationships and human emotions are things that you know. So you're always writing what you know in that category. There's my cat again. If you guys heard it, it's yelling at me. All right, another question we got. How long did it take you to write this book? We kind of went over that a little bit in another question, but oh, good God, what was it? We'll say 5 years. I think it might have been more of that, like from concept to like being finished, it was more of like 7 years. But like I said, for a few years I really wasn't working on it, and I went through those different versions. So like, yeah, we'll go with like 5 years ish is how long it took me to write this first one. But now that I know my writing process, which by the way, if you guys don't know this, I figured out my writing process because I participated in NaNoWriMo. And NaNoWriMo is amazing. I feel like I have grown to the point now where I don't necessarily need it, but NaNoWriMo is amazing for teaching you how to set and strive for writing goals. So if you've never done writing goals before, or like don't really know what to do, like NaNoWriMo is great for that because it gives you a goal. And just by trying to do NaNoWriMo, like I learned so much about myself. Like the first year I did it, I did not win. I wrote like 32,000 words. But that was 32,000 words I didn't have before. And it was for the reckoning. And that was 2018 was when I wrote the be. That's only like, okay. So 2018 is when I started really taking my like writing seriously, and I started writing the first draft of like the third version of the Reckoning, and I wrote 32,000 words. But like it really taught me how I need to like manage my time, and it really taught me like how many words I can write in a certain period of time, because you know, if you don't know how many words you can write in a day, or like how many words you can write in an hour, like it can be really hard to make a timeline for your writing or your schedule and things like that. So like doing NaNoWriMo was like life changing in that sense of like, oh, I now know that I can write this many words in this kind of time frame. And consistently too, because you have that consistency of doing it day to day or week to week. And, it really helps you like get a realistic expectation of what you can do as a writer. So yeah, it helped me write my book. I think I wrote the majority of the first draft in NaNoWriMo for 2018. And then I want to say I rewrote it for NaNoWriMo 2019. And that rewrite I finished up after Nano. And that is kind of the final version that I have now, was that one from 2019. So plus, editing, because I did editing last year. But yeah, interesting timeline. So that was at least like 3 years of actively writing it, right? 2018, 2019, 2020 editing it. So yeah, like a solid 3 years timeline wise of when I was like focused on it. Of course, I was working during most of that time, a full-time job. So that does make it harder to get more done. Let's see. How did you come up with the title for your book? This is a very good question, and my answer for it is not that great. So the title of my book is The Reckoning, and the main event that happens during the book is the reckoning. So obviously the title of my book comes from the main objective of the book, which is the reckoning. Now, why I decided to call the reckoning, I don't know. I think I just liked the word and was like, it's a reckoning. The reckoning day has come. Calling it the reckoning. Things just come to me in that sense of where like I can't think of me like specifically, like I don't remember when, but obviously at some point I was just like, it's the reckoning. That's what it is. So probably when I got that third version, so it would have been before 2018 or during 2018, whenever I got that third version where I was like, you know what? They're gonna do this challenge thing. And it's gonna be the reckoning. And that's where the title came from. So yeah, it just happened. I got lucky. I don't know. I wouldn't call it lucky. I feel like titles are that thing where either it comes to you easily or like you just can't get it. Like it's either like boom, automatic title, or I'm dying for days trying to figure out what to name this. And mine just like came. It just happened. This next question. Would you and your main character get along? Probably. I feel like my main character is probably the most similar to me, like emotionally in that sense. But then also like maybe not, because it's like they're grumpy and angsty and I'm like, I'm over being grumpy and angsty. So I'm like, nah, bruh, like go figure your shit out. So maybe we wouldn't get along very well. Oh God, this last question on this list. If you could meet your characters, what would you say to them? Oof. So to my main character, the Darkblood Prince, I would tell him, oh man, I don't know, stop being such a punk, like get your crap together, or like maybe like it's okay to love someone. I don't know. Words of encouragement are needed for that one. For Harrison, my cinnamon roll character that has a tragic timeline, for him, I would say that it gets better. and keep fighting. That's what I would say to him. For Tyler, oh man. Honestly, I feel like for Tyler, I would just be like, stay true to yourself, be who you are, and don't let them bring you down. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, that's what I got. Those are my questions. I got through all of them, and I'm over here like, is there something that I forgot to mention? And I don't know. So like, I'm in this weird place where like, I have the titles for my books, and I'm like, when do I announce titles? And I feel like I can't announce the title for the next book until The Reckoning has been out and people have had a chance to read it, because I don't want to spoil anything. Like, you know, no spoilers. It's hard to not like spoil your own book when you know what's gonna happen. Like, yeah. Ooh, what about Daniel? What would you say to him? Oh God, Daniel. Oh, in reality, Daniel, I love Daniel so much. I feel like if I ever had a conversation with Daniel, it would be extremely inappropriate. And yeah, it would be extremely inappropriate. It'd be like a swapping of stories kind of thing. Yeah. Me and Daniel would probably be like besties. Like, I feel this. I feel me and Daniel being besties, which also says a lot about my character. um, all right, let me look at these. Who am I? Oh, blue. All right, here we go. We got a question here. What was the biggest challenge writing this book? Honestly, I would say the biggest challenge was figuring out how to plot it. So after I like did that first NaNoWriMo, I didn't have an ending to the book, and I was struggling really hard with figuring out how to plot it, you know, like start from finish, like with the different 3 acts and like how the arc works with like storytelling and everything. And it just wasn't clicking. Like I couldn't get it to like, I couldn't get the pieces to like fall into place the way that they needed to. And I actually got the Save a Cat Writes a Novel book, and it does like these story beats. And so like I read this book and I read about story beats, and like even with that book, which was game changing for plotting for me because I was not a plotter. Even with the book, like I had this really struggled with like those last pieces, and a lot of it ended up coming out of, I think, discovery writing and just like taking time to like figure out what I wanted it to be. Because I definitely didn't have an ending. I did not have an ending. I did not have a final act ending. And going through the book, the story, the cat book, the Save the Cat book, like it was hard. Like filling out these boards back here that I got, my first board that I did, like it was hard. And I made like a generic outline first and then wrote stuff. And then like, I think I made like another ish outline and like rewrote it. But I think like I spent an entire month. Like I think it was Camp NaNoWriMo in July of 2019. I spent that entire month replotting The Reckoning and making up all these scene cards and like shifting things around and like figuring out chapter order, even because like at first I was like, oh yeah, I'll just alternate between perspectives. But like they're all going through like the same thing. Like they're in the same timeline. And so it was a matter of like, whose perspective does it make the most sense to tell this part of the story from? That was hard. That was hard. And like chapter order, like that was hard. And I was like, oh, like I need to make sure that like I'm alternating, but like everyone has the same, I think, number-ish of chapters, like, but it's not like it's not a patterned rotation. It was just a matter of like whoever is part of the story was being told and who it made sense to tell it from, you know, because they go through challenges and it's like, well, if I show these two characters in this perspective going through this challenge, I don't want to repeat it for the other character because they went through the same challenge. So then I got to show something different. And like, that was hard. Plotting and planning is hard, guys. It is very hard. But yeah, like first time doing that, it was so hard. I like looking back now, I'm like, man, I remember how painful it was. I just remember being there and like just staring at these like scene cards on the floor and like reading this book and like holding it in my hands, just looking at it and being like, I don't understand why I don't understand. I was like, why can't I do this right now? Like it's just a plot, just happen. So that was the hardest part. Is it still the hardest part? I don't know, because I feel like, and there's a truth to once you've written a book, you're now a better writer. So now writing my next book is easier because I've already written a book and I already have the experience of writing a book and experience of going through my writing process. So it has definitely been a lot easier the second time around for me anyway. But yeah. Whew, good questions, tough questions. Yeah. I don't know. If you guys have any other questions, you can drop them in the chat. Otherwise, I feel like I've really gone through everything. Reminder that there is a YouTube playlist. It is linked below for all of my book launch tour dates. The next one is 2 weeks from now. It's going to be similar to this. Maybe I'll come up with some games. I'm thinking about doing a book tag for The Reckoning. We'll see if I do that. Oh yeah, that is something I should mention. I actually created a Instagram challenge for The Reckoning. It is called TR Challenge, hashtag TR Challenge. And I will tell you guys more about that in 2 weeks because it doesn't actually start until April 1st. So I will be having posts on my Instagram that have the whole challenge outlined. Like the last week of March, it'll all be getting posted. So if you guys want to participate in that, you can check it out on Instagram. That is coming. That's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm excited about it. What else do we got? You can pre-order my book now. Well, ebooks are up for pre-order. Hardback pre-orders are coming soon, so stay tuned. Subscribe to my newsletter if you want to know when that happens, because I will be sending out an email to my subscribers the day that I get those pre-orders set up. Like I said earlier in the stream, I am waiting to get my final version back from my formatter to be able to get those pre-orders set up. And I have my bookmarks that I will be giving away to anyone who pre-orders a hardback version of the book. And I also have submitted The Reckoning to a little challenge. So you guys can go vote for that over on the site that is linked below. I think like the 8th page is where the fantasy books are. And it like only takes a few seconds for you to click it and vote for The Reckoning. And that goes throughout most of the year this year. So send your friends, family, whatever that way, and they can vote for the book. And that would be amazing because this is the only time I've submitted to a contest, and I'm excited. Yeah, that is it. That is what I got for The Reckoning. And Thank you guys for being here with me today on St. Patty's Day, and letting me sit here and ramble on and on about my book. And it is very exciting. This is my first book that I am publishing. I am self-publishing it. I had to do a lot of learning. I am still learning, and I am excited to see kind of how all of this rolls out, and excited to learn from the things that don't work. So yeah, thank you guys for coming, and I will hopefully see you guys next week. You guys have a great day. Bye.